Welcome back, you guys, and LeBron James has had an interesting history with the 7 head coaches he has played for in the NBA. Ever since LeBron signed with Miami, there's been a ton of interesting on and off the court stories about him and his head coach. From Erik Spoelstra to now with Walton, almost every head coach has had their highs and lows coaching a team expected to win a championship. Right now, the Lakers are below 500, and it feels like Walton's job has been on the hot seat since LeBron signed in July. And if you want to see LeBron and the Lakers in what might be their last 22 games of the season, the best way to do that is through the SeatGeek app, who I want to thank for sponsoring this video. Instead of having to search everywhere on the web for the best ticket prices, SeatGeek does all the work for you by putting every single ticket from that event into one spot for you to choose from. They then give those tickets a grade out of 100, so if it's green, then you know it's a good deal. If it's red, then you know it's a bad deal. If you're still not sure about the seat you picked, they have a feature that lets you see what you're getting before you buy. Remember, by supporting SeatGeek, you're also supporting my channel, so if you're thinking about going to a concert or a sporting event in the future, you can get $20 off your first ticket purchase by using my promo code KANE when you check out. LeBron's first coach in his rookie season was Silas, who was a part of 3 championship teams, made 2 All-Star games, and coached for over 20 years. They went 35-47 in LeBron's rookie year, and in the middle of the 2004-2005 season, he was fired. Brendan Malone was promoted as the interim head coach, but was eventually fired for Mike Brown. Fun fact, Brendan is the father of Mike Malone, the current head coach of the Denver Nuggets. His next head coach was Mike Brown, who's now an assistant on the Warriors. What Mike Brown got LeBron and those Cavs teams to do well was defend and play with effort. The big criticism of his style of coaching was that his offense was basically give LeBron the ball and go, which isn't so bad because it has historically worked, but against certain matchups, it gets predictable and can cost you games. LeBron left for Miami in 2010, and his new coach was Erik Spoelstra. Now, to refresh your memory on Spoelstra, he's been a part of the Miami Heat since 1995. He was doing stuff from picking up the team's lunch orders and leading their video production department. He worked his way up as a scout and assistant coach before he was picked as the Heat's head coach in 2008 when Pat Riley decided to step down. So Spoelstra had over 10 years of history with Pat Riley and the Heat organization. It wasn't like he was with a different team beforehand and they signed him as a new coach. He's been a staple for the Heat behind the scenes for years, so this is what gave him a long leash. With Bosh, Wade, and LeBron on the team, there was obvious pressures to be a great team right away and win a championship. When the Heat started 9-8 in the 2010-2011 season, Spoelstra was quickly put on the hot seat. The relationship between LeBron and Spoelstra wasn't bad, but it wasn't exactly great either. At the time they were 9-8, Pat Riley called in a meeting with the Big Three just to get their thoughts and allow them to speak on anything. At one point during the conversation, LeBron looked at Pat Riley and told him, "Don't you ever get the itch?" Pat responded with, "The itch for what?" LeBron then said, "The itch to coach again." Pat Riley then said, "No, I don't have the itch." LeBron did not ask any more questions after that, but Riley says in a book that he knew what LeBron meant, and he always goes back and wonders what he was thinking at the time. A few days after that meeting, LeBron and Spoelstra met in a one-on-one meeting to discuss the Heat's offensive struggles. Erik Spoelstra said this in an interview about the meeting, "I call these healthy conflicts. I truly believe these are good for a team. As long as you can survive these, it'll make you stronger, it'll make your bond stronger." The first year was kind of ugly at the beginning, but looking back at those 4 years, we can see that Spoelstra was LeBron's best coach ever. He employed a very aggressive trapping scheme on defense that LeBron really excelled in. Spoelstra had LeBron playing a lot of minutes at power forward and allowed him to take control of the Heat's offense in the post. So in the summer of 2014, LeBron decided to return to Cleveland, and his new head coach was David Blatt, the EuroLeague Coach of the Year. David Blatt was signed on to be the head coach on June 20th, 2014, which was almost about 3 weeks before LeBron would decide to come back to Cleveland, so now there was brand new expectations of getting a championship. 3 weeks before LeBron decided to come back, David Blatt was brought in to develop young players and instill a new offensive culture. There wasn't much pressure to even get out of the first round, but now there's pressure to get to the finals. There were 3 moments during Blatt's tenure that I think were important. Let's start when it was 30 minutes before the first practice at Cavs training camp in September 2014. LeBron held a players meeting and told guys from Kyrie Irving to guys who didn't even make the team what he wants each individual player to do this year and what he expects from them. Now, this is not directly related to Blatt, but LeBron kind of made himself an extension of the coaching staff, which there's nothing really wrong with at times. But you can see right there it's LeBron establishing himself before the practice even starts. The second moment that was important was when the Cavs were struggling in the middle of their first season. They were about 500, and GM David Griffin was feeling the pressure to fire David Blatt. Raja Bell, who played for the Suns and other teams, he was the Cavs' director of player administration at the time, and he told David Griffin, "Please don't fire David Blatt, let me talk to LeBron." Raja pulled LeBron off to the side at a shoot-around and basically told him, "David Blatt is our guy, but we can't correctly evaluate him unless you and the team play hard for him." LeBron heard Raja and told him, "I can do that." The Cavs eventually went on a long streak and cleared up a lot of their on-court problems. I think the moment most people remember from the David Blatt-LeBron era is during Game 4 of the 2015 Eastern Conference semifinals versus the Chicago Bulls, when LeBron made the game winner to tie the series at 2-2. LeBron was supposed to inbound the ball in the final possession, but he made an executive decision and said, "I'm not taking the ball out, have someone else inbound." LeBron's quote after the game was this, "I just told coach, just give me the ball, we either going to go into overtime or I'm gonna win it for us. It was that simple." You can't really object to that. He made the shot and they moved on to the next round, and that wasn't the only time where LeBron overruled Blatt in that playoff run. In Game 5 of the 2015 Finals, Mark Stein of the New York Times said that he saw LeBron from right behind the bench, shaking his head vociferously in protest after one play Blatt drew up in the third quarter of Game 5. He said that it was the loudest non-verbal scolding you could imagine, which forced Blatt in front of the whole team to wipe the board clean and draw up something else. David Blatt was eventually fired in January 2016 and replaced him with Ty Lue. We knew this was coming. Blatt could not implement his offensive system from the EuroLeague, and he could not connect with the players like a longtime coach could. Blatt said in an interview recently that him and LeBron never had a bad relationship, which I definitely believe. It was just more on-court basketball stuff that was the problem. Promoting Ty Lue from assistant to head coach wasn't that much of a surprise because LeBron often talked to Ty Lue during timeouts when David Blatt was head coach. And the funny thing is, Ty Lue often challenged LeBron. I hear all the time about how Ty Lue was a pushover and he didn't really do anything. That was never true. Ty Lue as a head coach would call out LeBron for his defensive mistakes, and he took control of the head coaching position. This was evident during the Eastern Conference Finals against Toronto in 2016, when LeBron was talking over Lue in the huddle. Ty told LeBron to shut the F up, "I got this." If there's anything you can give Ty Lue credit for, it's his ability to connect with players, establish order as a head coach, and at times make smart decisions. I'm being serious, I never thought that Lue was the worst coach in the league, as some people thought. I thought he was below average to average, and would make smart decisions like playing Tristan Thompson for 30 plus minutes in Game 7 versus Indiana to create a matchup advantage. Lue definitely had his faults, but I thought he made a lot of positive contributions that don't get talked about enough because he's a meme. In the summer of 2018, LeBron signed with the Lakers, and before the season started, Luke Walton told ESPN that the new expectations for the season were going to be fun to be a part of. He's quoted saying, "The whole city's going to be behind us. We're going to be on SportsCenter every night. If we lose, it's going to be the end of the world. If we win, it's going to be wild. But no matter what, it's going to be fun." That quote perfectly describes this Lakers season. Luke and LeBron were in the same draft class back in 2003, so they have a long history of being in the league together. It's only been about 5 months into the season, so we don't have much information like David Blatt or like Erik Spoelstra. But if you remember 2 weeks into the season when the Lakers were 3-6, Magic brought in Luke and said that there better be improvements this year. This does not have to do much with LeBron, but it's not a good sign for Luke early on. 3 weeks after that meeting with Magic Johnson, a report came out from ESPN that said scouts have noticed LeBron would ignore Luke Walton's calls. This was around the time Rondo was injured, so it's not shocking to see LeBron run his Cleveland offense a season ago. Magic actually came out and said that the report was BS and the Lakers run an offense that doesn't involve LeBron just dribbling around and waiting to make a skip pass. So how do I feel about Luke Walton as a head coach? I don't think he's bad, but I also don't think he's done something well enough to where you have to keep him, which is not where you want to be on a team with LeBron on it and Magic Johnson as the team president. You have to give Luke credit for getting this team to defend the past 2 seasons. They were at one point top 10 in defensive rating, and last year I believe they were a top 15 defensive team. Getting a young team to defend well is not easy, so Luke deserves some props there. The bad for Luke Walton is that he has some of the worst substitution patterns that have started other teams' runs. Those JaVale, Lance, and Rondo minutes are some of the worst defensive stretches you'll see this season. But at the same time, it's hard to blame Luke completely because the roster was built weird over the summer, and there are injuries, so he's almost forced to play these guys. 2 of them are going to be on the court together at a minimum when the bench comes in. Jeannie Buss, who is the owner of the team, has publicly defended Luke in the past and has said that she wants him to coach the Lakers for many years. She has saved his job this season, so if Luke does get fired, it'll be in April or May. I think he coaches out the rest of the year. If it's Mark Jackson or Jason Kidd that replaces him, I'm just gonna laugh. And that's it for me, man. What do you guys think of the history between LeBron and his head coaches? I think if LeBron in his first 3 to 4 years in the league, he had a stable organization and a respectable offensive coach, he would be less likely to micromanage every situation he was in since like 2010. So appreciate it if you made it to the end. Leave a like if you enjoyed, as it helps my channel grow, and I'll see you guys soon.